Hello and welcome to another edition of Picking the Scene, brought to you by myself, Sen, and my good friend Richard Garside. Richard, how's it going?
Yeah, good.
Excellent. On today's show we're going to be reviewing the England against India game, which has just finished today. We'll be trying to draw on some of the predictions that we made in the last episode and see whether or not those actually came true, and analyse the play generally. And we'll also have a look at what we think England should be looking to do in advance of the next test. Following that, if we have time, we're going to try and round up some of the other matches that are going on at the moment, including West Indies, Bangladesh. And so, without much further ado, we'll begin by looking at England against India. The first test between India and England was concluded today in Ahmedabad, with India romping home to a 9-wicket victory. Alistair Cook and Matt Pryor's long vigil was finally broken this morning, and the remaining 5 wickets fell for some 60-odd runs. So, Richard, delight for India, soul-searching for England, perhaps?
Yeah, definitely delight for India. Just going back to our predictions for this game, I think you went with 2-0 India, I went with 2-1 India, and I think you're saying before that you can't see where England were going to win the game, but I think it's just like when England lost 3-0 in the UAE not so long ago, that every one of those matches, England have dominated maybe 2-3 sessions in a row, and they had a chance of turning the game, maybe not into a win, but definitely to save the game. So I don't think it's like we've been outplayed in every session.
We've been outplayed in every department, though.
But I think there's been glimpses to show that England may not get steamrolled every single game. I think there's been maybe 3 individual performances that I'd like to highlight that give England hope. I think obviously Alistair Cook, just his concentration, his ability to stick it out, and the fact he's the captain. Talk about lead by example.
Yeah, no, his innings was fantastic. One of the finest by an English player.
So that's a positive, really. And Matty Pryor did exactly the same thing, but he was still as you expect. Matty Pryor, he was busy. He didn't get bogged down, but at the same time he batted time.
You know my thoughts on Matty Pryor. I think that he's a very underrated batsman for England.
So that's it. And Swan as well, if you think about it, he was not only the senior spinner, but you'd say really the only one likely to take a lot of wickets, with all due respect to Samit Patel. And so we've got 3 guys straight away that we know can play over here. What we need is maybe 2 or 3 more of them to weigh in as well. So I'm not completely down after that.
Sure. Just going back to the openers, you're quite a big fan of Nick Compton in the run-up to this match. How do you assess his performance?
Again, I think we're talking, he's shown his promise. He's not shown what he can do in practice. Maybe second innings, I think he was there for over 100 balls.
Yeah, he got 70?
I think only 30.
Oh, 30, sorry.
Odd,
Right.
But I think he'll play the next match. We'll get onto the team shortly, but I think England are already going to make at least 2 changes are pretty much a certainty, so they don't really need to be messing around with Compton. I think the century stand in the second innings. I think he'll keep his place.
I think that would have justified his place quite massively. If you think who else, what there is. I think Mark Butcher was saying that he sort of favours this idea of having Trott pushed up unwillingly, admittedly, up the order to open, and having more power hitters, having your Morgans, your Bairstows, having more of them in there. I like that. I think that if England got beaten in a similar fashion in the next match, going in with 2 matches to go, why not try something? It's going to be flat.
Keep that up your sleeve.
Yeah. I just wanted to talk to you as well about what you thought about England's bowling, because I think that there's been a lot of, personally when I watched it, I thought there's a lot of criticism levelled at England's batsmen for the way that they collapsed in the first innings, but I don't think that I think England's bowlers need to have a little bit of criticism for where they bowled in India's first innings.
In terms of the bowling, I think I texted you on one of the first days, and watching, it wasn't a helpful pitch, and I know it's the same for both sides, but I did kind of feel a bit sorry for Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad just trying to get something out of that pitch.
But the point is that they didn't get anything out of it. They're bowling at sub 80 miles an hour.
Well, this is it.
We've got Umesh Yadav on there, the Indian bowler, bowling at 140 plus on the same wicket.
I think you've got to look at the bowlers as separate cases. So if we start with Jimmy's always been early 80s.
He's a sort of Zahir Khan kind of.
So we're not expecting anything else from Jimmy, and I think Jimmy had patches where he put the batsman under pressure, at least kept things tight. So I think we can put Jimmy to one side for a second, but then we move on to Stuart Broad. I was thinking to myself, what is wrong with him and why can't he bowl as fast as he used to? And then I'm thinking, he's only 26, and this guy has bowled a hell of a lot of overs in all three forms of cricket. He's now the T20 captain, so he plays tests, he plays one-dayers, and he's pretty much been a constant presence in the England side for maybe the last 4 years. Plus all the gym work that these guys have to do these days, and I'm almost thinking that Stuart Broad may have bowled himself into the ground by the time he's 26. Assuming Stephen Finn
he's got to come in, hasn't he?
Comes in, and assuming Monty comes in, I guess England have to make a choice whether they want to omit a batsman or just go with two seamers, in which case they'll have to drop Stuart Broad.
So that would leave so you'd go in there with Monty, you go in there with Swan, Finn and Anderson as your four, yeah?
I wouldn't like
ignoring market research.
I wouldn't like to drop a batsman simply because I don't think the middle order and the lower middle order have shown us enough to suggest that we can afford to do that.
What would you do about that? I mean, Bell's obviously gone home for the birth of his daughter, I think it is, and Bairstow would be my first choice.
The two choices is Johnny Bairstow, who's quite new to the England setup but has looked good, played well in the one-dayers, and then you've got Owen Morgan, who, on the face of it, looks naturally more suited to spin, but unfortunately, against Pakistan in the UAE, it's the same with Bell. I don't understand how a player that looks like he's almost suited to these conditions. He's almost...
serendipity has resulted in his wife having a baby, really, at this convenient time.
So, I mean, if you're the board of selectors, are you going for Bairstow in there, or are you...
So think about logic. It would be Compton, it would be Cook, it would be Trott,
Peterson,
it would be,
that's not going to change.
Yeah, Peterson, it would be... Then I would...
So Bell's gone, so he's not there anymore at 5.
So in comes, I would bring in Bairstow for Bell, and then number 6 is Samit. I'll take out Samit, to be honest with you. He's not doing anything with his.
So you'd move Pryor up.
No, I'd bring in Morgan then as well.
So you'd
extra batsman.
It may not be such a bad idea.
Extra batsman, mate. Bring him, so Bell, Morgan and Bairstow. That's what I'd have. I don't know if they'd do that because I think that they're still going to use Samit Patel as a tweaker. But that's what I'll do.
Do you need, if you play Monty, do you really need Samit?
Exactly. I don't know you do.
Just going through all the different permutations of the next England team can make your head start spinning, to be honest with you. One final thing really on the England batting, I want to know why they're still struggling so much, or I don't think the scorecard tells the story, England's strife against spin. I think you have to watch how they're playing it, kind of shots they're playing and the way they're getting out. They're getting bowled through the gates. I mean, when you're getting bowled in between your bat and pad, that's a deficiency in technique. That's not the ball doing too much. So I just hope, we've got Mushtaq Ahmed, he's part of the England setup, the former Pakistani spin bowler, and I just hope that he should be helping those players as well. I know Graham Gooch is the batting coach, but they need to get better, and I just hope that Mushtaq Ahmed as a spin bowler, maybe he can give them some tips too. Okay, so just returning to a series which we talked about in the first episode briefly, was Bangladesh versus the West Indies. Has actually finished as well. West Indies won by 77 runs, and we both thought this one would be evenly matched. I think you said 1-1.
Yeah.
So did I, and that's the way it's turned out. It's a right little cracker of a test match. This one.
It was indeed.
I mean, West Indies weighing in with 5-2-7 for 4 in the first innings. 3 of their batsmen going on to make at least a century. Kieran Powell, the opener, 117. Dinesh Ramdin, 126, and then Shivaran Chanderpaul,
another double 100,
203. And Bangladesh coming straight back in their first innings, 5-5-6, all out, and really the run spread about. I think Naeem Islam,
big scores for Naeem Islam, big scores for Nazir Hussain. Tamim Iqbal back in the runs as well with 72 at the top of the order.
He got 70. All 3 results on the final day, I think, were possible.
Bangladesh chased it. We're set 245, I think, in chase.
They were bowled out for 167.
Thanks to Tino Tino.
And he weighs in with 5 wickets and he wins you the Test match. So.
And he's incredibly good value as well, isn't he?
Oh, character. Character and a half. I mean, Bangladesh have shown they're competitive.
Yeah, they've got a lot of
already.
positives to draw from this, haven't they?
To make that many runs, I can't remember the last time seeing a Bangladesh scorecard with over 500 at the bottom.
And what I like about it is that some of the names that will have been spoken about a lot in Bangladesh, some of these, the big names, have delivered. Tamim Iqbal's got runs, Naeem Islam, Shakib Al Hassan again has got runs. Mushfiq Al Rahim, he's so consistent, he always gets runs, the little wicketkeeper. And Nazar Hussain has got some runs too, and people have been talking about him. Mahmudullah as well, he's got chipped in with 62 in the first innings. He's becoming quite a consistent performer. I think there is a lot of positives that Bangladesh can draw from the first test, but the West Indies too will be, very confident, I would think, now going into the second test.
Thanks for listening to this episode. Please subscribe to us if you like what you're hearing. We want to hear your opinions, your views.
So that wraps things up for this week. Thanks very much for listening. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.